This is Something That Holds Us, where our mission is to bring people closer to their emotions through conversations about our life experiences to understand not only who we are, but who we want to be. This evening, I have a guest that comes highly recommended. His name is George Johnson, correct?
Yes.
I appreciate you for joining me, George.
It's a pleasure to be here, man.
All right. How we usually kick off the show is with a community meeting. Have you ever heard of that?
Yes, I heard of that.
Okay, you're familiar with what we do.
Because I did my homework.
Okay, I like that.
I checked out your podcast, so yeah.
So let's go.
Right.
The first question I ask is, how are you feeling today?
I'm feeling blessed.
What's your goal for today or this week?
My goal for this week is I started reading this book. It's called You Owe You. It's by Eric Thomas. So I started reading that book. So my goal is to finish it by this week.
Okay.
Yeah.
Who can you ask for help?
3 people I can ask. I can ask God, my mother, and my best friend.
Okay. Who's your best friend?
My best friend Segundo Ruiz.
All right. I'm sure they got you.
Yeah,
Of course, you already know God always got you.
Definitely.
Can you tell me one fact about yourself?
One fact about myself. One fact about myself is that I love working with kids. I love being around kids. I love to inspire kids.
That's awesome. That happens to be a fact we have in common.
Yep. Okay. Good.
So I want to go into the questions.
Mm-hmm.
What does community mean to you?
Community means to me is having a group of people in your corner that can support you, that can encourage you, that can go after your goals.
That's a very good answer. That might be the best one I got so far.
Okay.
Who or what is in your community?
First and foremost, the most important person in my community is God, my mother, and my best friends.
Okay.
I have 2 dear best friends of mine.
2 dear best friends that you
Yes.
think of right now?
Mm-hmm.
Do you want to give them a shout out?
One is Segundo, you already met him, and another one name is Lamont.
Lamont?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I'm sure they're very great people. That's a
Yeah.
tight community right there.
Mhm.
It's great that you can pinpoint that. How did your community shape you growing up?
How did they shape me growing? They inspired me. They also motivate me because I'm a type of person that if I have a particular goal, I definitely go after that goal. But I also look for somebody that going after the same goals that I have. One of my goals is to become a certified special education teacher. I just graduated with my master's degree in special education, so that's my goal is to become that, or do like work. As long as I'm working with children, like doing family advocate or something like that, that's the direction I want to go into. And I can always count on my community to inspire me, to motivate me as well.
Okay, that's awesome. You said you just finished your master's?
Yes.
Oh, congratulations.
Thank you, man. I appreciate it.
Where were you going to school for that?
I'm going Grand Canyon University. It's an online program. I
Okay.
did that.
How long did it take?
It took me like a year and some change.
Okay.
hmm
What has motivated you to work with kids?
That's something I always wanted to do. I always wanted to work with kids. Ever since I was high school, I knew that's what I wanted to do. When I graduated, I got my degrees in business management, and I started working in the business field. But I felt that wasn't fulfilling to me, so I started doing community work, and that's what took me in that direction, working with kids.
It's funny. I have a very similar story for myself
Okay.
on how I ended up, I'll say, pivoting into the role that I have now to work with kids.
Okay.
You mentioned a book earlier that it's your goal to finish this week. What was the name of that book?
It's called You Owe You by Eric Thomas.
What's it about?
It's basically it is talk about his life story, how he overcame different obstacles in his life. It's more like a motivation book.
Okay.
Yeah.
Speaking of obstacles, what's the most recent obstacle you overcame?
I'm still dealing with it. 15 years ago, I lost my brother unexpectedly. He died of a massive heart attack.
I'm so sorry to hear that.
Yeah, so when he passed away, like my world is turned upside down because he was more than a brother to me. He was a father figure for me. So when he passed away, I went into a deep depression, and I just started having thoughts of suicide because I didn't know how to function in life without him. So, that right there was a dark space for me. It was a dark time.
And I appreciate you for being open enough to share that.
Hmm.
Even mentioning suicide, because that's about that I personally had to face myself.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, actually over in August 20th is the date that I actually attempted. And I would say a lot in my life has changed in holding myself, not say accountable, but holding myself in a better regard where I actually pay attention to my emotions and how I'm feeling and address those things properly.
Hmm.
Do you have any advice to other people that have suicidal thoughts or?
Well, I know for me personally, what really helped me by going to therapy. I never knew I can go to therapy. When I started looking into therapy, that's what really helped me through there. I think if it wasn't for therapy, I don't know where I would be at. But therapy helped me a lot.
Is that something you still do?
Well, I haven't did it recently, but I'm thinking about going back into it though.
Yeah,
Yeah.
therapy has been helping me a lot as of recently. Now I go every week, and
Okay.
it's a great guy. And we just honestly, I used to have this. I used to let the stigma of therapy, especially in our community, stop
Yes.
me from getting the
Yes.
help that I needed.
Mhm.
But after going for a couple months now and having that experience, I mean, I highly recommend it for anybody,
Definitely.
even if you're not in a depressed state.
Mhm.
Even if you're just looking for a little advice, or if you feel
Mhm.
like everything is great, it could
Mhm.
probably get you to that next level.
Mhm.
Um,
Definitely.
what is another pivotal life experience you've had?
Um, I would say I grew up with a learning disability. My learning disability is I stutter a lot.
Okay.
So that right there, I just had to overcome that. By overcoming that, I also went to therapy. I started a coach that would help me, talk and say my speech more better and stuff. So those are the two areas.
I'll
Yeah.
say you're doing very well today,
Thank
so
you,
it's
man.
not something that seems like it's a challenge for you.
Yeah. Thank you. I
Uh,
appreciate it.
is that something that's ongoing for you, like working on it, or is
Well,
that
I'm still working on it, but I'm not gonna let that stop me for going after my goals and stuff. I think back in the past, like in high school, I was scared to talk a lot, stuff because I didn't want nobody to know I had this disability. So as I got older, I'm like, you know what it is.
yeah.
I'm not gonna let that stop it.
At what age do you feel like all that changed for you?
I would say my first year of college.
First year?
Yeah, I think the first year of college. That's
Was
when
there
it
a
changed.
certain reason why, like, or like what changed your mindset?
What really changed my mindset, I started looking at different celebrity that had the same disability I have. Like, it was, for example, it was Steve Harvey,
Mm,
and I see where he went with his disability. So I'm like, yo, if he can do it, I know I can do it. So that right there was my motivation right there with him.
I respect that. There's
Hmm.
I always ask that question because it's like, and in my opinion, there's always that point in our life where we reach true self acceptance.
Hmm.
That's when I feel like life really starts for us.
Hmm.
You know what I mean? Even for you
Hmm.
to say like it's something that you struggled with and you didn't talk about, you try you would avoid talking in high school,
Hmm.
and getting to college and realizing, you know what, this isn't gonna stop me
Hmm.
for reaching my dreams.
Hmm.
Do you feel like how did that feel internally changing?
At that time, it felt real good to me because I didn't let that stop me from going and doing what I had to do in life. I think sometimes obstacles come in your way to make you stronger, and it's up to the individual if you're going to overcome that obstacle or you're going to let the obstacle overcome you. And I refuse to let the obstacle overcome me.
And once you overcome once you overcome the biggest obstacle that you ever had to face, you realize there's no obstacle
Hmm.
bigger or too big to overcome.
Hmm.
And I love hearing people say that because it's something that I'm living right now.
Okay.
And it took me to be 30 years old to finally face myself in a real way.
Hmm.
And I truly feel limitless in my life right now.
Yeah, that's
And
good.
thank you. Thank you.
Good luck. congratulations with that.
Oh, could you give me your most memorable work memory?
Work memory. Uh, my work memory. Um, I think that would be when I first got my job working with kids. I think that's was my memory. Yeah, that would be it.
That was most
Working with
memorable.
kids.
Just
Yes.
the success of finally getting into the field
It's
that you
finally
truly.
getting to feel, working with kids that need help, directing them the best way I know how, and just giving them sound advice that they need. Yeah, I would definitely say that.
All
Mhm.
right, it sounds like you're a meaningful figure in these kids' lives. Would you
Mhm.
say that?
Yeah,
How long have you
definitely.
been working with kids?
I've been there right now. I'm a paraprofessional. I work for the Stanford Board of Education. I work in the special ed department.
Yeah,
So right now I'm doing co-teaching. So I've been there for 16 years.
16 years.
Hmm
Oh, definitely. You've seen a
I've
lot of
seen
kids
everything.
change. Yeah.
I see a lot of things.
Oh man.
I see a lot of things.
And do you have a? I know people aren't supposed to say this, but have you ever had like a favorite student?
I have one favorite student, but to me, they are my favorite student. But one kid that really stands out to me, he was my favorite student.
What was special about him?
Well, he had autism,
Okay.
but his family was the most generous family that I can ever, and we still stay in contact as of today. I go over there for dinner. We go out to, what I'm saying. So that right, I'm I was more his teacher. I was more like his big brother. You know what I'm saying? So it's like that family stands out. They will always be a part of my life.
I respect that a
Always.
lot because so
Mhm.
often people say they want to help people,
Mhm.
but there is the person that you might be saying you want to help needs more than the help that you can provide right now or is in the job description, you
Mhm.
know?
Mhm.
And I really respect the people that do go above and beyond
Mhm.
to deliver the help that somebody truly needs.
Mhm.
And you I can tell that you changed that kid's life just in the fact that you still go over for dinner
Mhm.
and you're still in touch with him. I can only imagine what that means to him.
Mhm.
So even from him, I'm sure you hear it a lot, but thank you for that.
I appreciate that, man.
There's a section on this podcast that I mention a book that I read. It's called The Book of Human Emotions by Tiffany Watt Smith.
Okay.
She breaks down all different types of emotions from different cultures and different times of history.
Okay.
Do you know what formal feeling is?
No, I never heard of that.
It's an emotion that was actually coined by the writer Emily Dickinson. It
Okay.
means like life's most painful experiences can leave us eerily cold and a little mechanical. It's
Mhm.
like when you go through something hard and you kind of become separated, you know? It's
Mhm.
like your heart becomes stiff and detached and our feelings are weary and unceremonious. It's like she said she calls it a process. First there's a chill that overcomes you where you're cold and then there's a stupor where you're like running at a high and just confused
Mhm.
and then you process it as letting go. Do you think you've ever had a formal feeling?
I think my former family by losing my brother. I I think that right there would tie it into what I had went through.
Yeah, that's the
Yeah.
I assume
Yeah.
that could perfectly describe that.
Mhm. Mhm.
Do you ever find yourself back in that feeling? Because I know sometimes memories or just having a conversation can trigger a
Mhm.
lot of old emotions that we thought we resolved.
Mhm. And they come back. Yeah. At one time I thought I was over it, but like every once in a while I find myself going back to that place. Especially around the holidays. The holidays, and 'cause my brother was a big football fanatic, so we used to always watch football on Sundays. The holiday we always together, so it's like, here come the holidays again. So here come these emotions. So I tried to block it out as best as I can, but that going to take some time. It's not going to happen overnight.
No, not
You
at
know.
all. And I don't. It sounds harsh, but what I've learned in life is some things don't stop.
Hmm
They just get a little easier.
Uh-huh.
It's the process, you
Mm-hmm.
know. Are there any people that you go to during the holidays or the times where you get reminiscent?
Um, don't tell me. I would say spending time with my mom because this was my mother's oldest son. You know, so I know it's hard for her. You know, so I can imagine what she going through. So you know, I think spending time with her, spending time with my close family and friends. That helped me get through it.
That's nice.
Hmm.
Definitely got to be there for each other.
Yeah, definitely.
Go a little deeper.
Okay.
When was the last time you cried?
The last time I cried, it was a couple weeks ago. Yeah, it was a couple weeks ago.
Do you mind sharing what you cried about?
Yeah. Well, I'm very close to my godson slash nephew, which is my brother' oldest grandson, and I had to drop him off at his school dance, and it gets like when I dropped him off, I got in the car, I just bawled out crying. I was like, "Yo, what is going on here?" And I was just like, and it wasn't no thug tears. I mean, I was crying to the point that I couldn't even drive. I had to pull over. I'm like, yo. I think at that time I realized, yo, I wish my brother was here to see this. You know what I'm saying? I think
Yeah.
that was it. And I'm very close to my nephews. Very close to them.
And this is your brother's son?
Yeah, my brother' oldest grandson.
Okay.
Yeah.
Your brother's oldest grandson. Oh, that makes sense. That makes sense.
Yeah.
Um,
So like things like that, I guess wish he was here to see that. Yeah.
I'm sure
That
he's
was
watching
crazy.
over that regardless.
Yeah,
so.
definitely. That moment right there, I just felt his presence. I felt his presence right then and there,
And that's you just
and
let it all out.
I just let it all out.
Do you cry often?
I don't. That was the first time I ever cried. I cried then, and I cried at his funeral service. But then
You don't cry often?
I don't cry often.
That's real. What
Something really have to really get to me to cry.
so
Yeah.
I think crying is essential. And I said somebody that I went through a phase where I didn't cry for a long time and I felt really detached from our emotions. But then there's also a phase where I felt like I was just crying at everything. And I don't take any shame at that. I could be watching a movie
And you
there's a
cry.
sad part. I'll be with my girl and she'll be right there and I'm crying. She just fine. But it's just what I felt. And I try to get real and just feeling my emotions. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So when you are like say other times that you're sad or you feel pain or or like deep enjoyment, how do you usually let those emotions out?
Well, what I started doing now, I started doing a lot of exercising now.
Okay.
I do exercise, so I think that right there helps me, get over it. But it definitely takes time. Do I cry? Do I? But I just can't cry like that. It really have to be something for me to really cry.
Yes.
Like when I took my nephew to the dance, that right there took over. I was like, yo, where all this coming from? So I guess I had a lot of stuff built inside of me, and it just all came out. But after I finished crying, I felt good.
Right? It
I
feels
was like,
good.
yo, I need to do this more often, man.
Don't let those levees build up. The dam's gonna break.
I'm like, I felt good.
All right,
I felt real good.
we'll make it a little lighter now. Who or what makes you smile?
My two nephews and my
Two
mother.
nephews?
Mm-hmm.
Just being with them?
Just spending quality time with them. I'm definitely involved in their education. I'm definitely involved in their sports because right now they 12 and 9. I mean, sorry, but they 12 and 8. So they into sports and stuff. So I spend a lot of quality time with them.
Okay. That's nice.
Definitely.
So definitely you consider yourself a role model for
Oh,
them in their
definitely, yeah.
lives?
Mm-hmm.
You said they're 12 and 9, right?
They 12 and 8.
12 and 8.
Yeah.
Oh, they got a lot to learn.
Yeah,
So
definitely.
that trip is going to get crazy in a
tell
couple
me,
years.
because the 12-year-olds give me a run for my
Right,
money.
already,
I'm
already.
like, yo.
Yo, these kids, man.
Woo, they grow up too fast.
What grade is that? 7th grade?
Yeah, the oldest one in the 7th and the youngest one is in the 3rd.
They go to school in Stanford?
Norwalk.
Okay.
Mhm.
I heard Norwalk's school system is one of the best in the state.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So shout out to them.
Yeah.
That's definitely a good
They're doing a
neighborhood.
good job. I'm proud of them.
What does self-care mean to you?
Self-care mean to me is taking care of yourself, loving yourself unconditionally. Let's see. Yeah. Self-care is like just loving yourself unconditionally, no matter what your flaws are, just loving yourself. Because if you don't love yourself, it's gonna be hard for you to love the next person.
From experience, I tell you
Yes.
that. From experience. And that's
Yeah.
hard. And I think people deserve to be loved the right way. And if you
Definitely.
can't love yourself, you don't, I don't say deserve, but you shouldn't put yourself out there to love people in a way that's not right for them
Mm-hmm.
or not giving your whole self.
Mm-hmm.
What do you do in your free time that shows you that you love yourself?
Well, I start doing this now. I start going to the gym. I do a lot of reading. When I graduated from college, I bought myself a Mercedes Benz because that's something I wanted.
Okay.
So I bought that for myself. Just traveling. I love traveling. I
Okay.
love traveling. Yeah.
Where was the last place you went?
The last place I went to Jamaica.
Jamaica?
Yeah, I went to Jamaica.
What'd you do?
I went with my sister and my goddaughter. We
Oh.
all went to Jamaica.
It's a nice time.
I loved it. Beautiful.
What's your favorite Jamaican meal?
I love jerk chicken.
Jerk chicken?
Yeah.
I
I had
respect
some today.
You got a certain restaurant you go to, or you family made it?
I went to a friend's house. A friend of mine invited me over for dinner today.
Okay, nice.
Mm-hmm.
Where's the most? What place have you traveled to that means the most to you?
Well, the two places I traveled so far is Jamaica and Puerto Rico. I'm looking to go to Greece next year.
Oh,
I
nice.
definitely want to do Greece. So
Well-
I'm getting out there.
That's definitely out there. What draws you to Greece?
I don't know. It gets. I did a lot of research, and I just love their culture. I love their culture. I love what they stand for. So I said, I would love to go there. Get to see it for myself.
Okay.
Yeah.
There's this like dip that I love that's I think it's made by a Greek restaurant I go to. It's I'm gonna say this wrong, but it's called like takefatori or something like that. It's
It's in Connecticut.
I go to Atlantic Pizza in Stanford. That's Greek, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's feta cheese and not chili peppers, and cherry peppers mixed up.
Okay.
It's like this spicy cheese dip.
Mhm.
It's amazing.
Oh, really?
But I gotta watch my salt because I have high blood pressure.
Oh, you can't eat that much. All right.
Yeah, so
I gotta
it's-
check that out.
But it's good though. Try it out.
Yeah, I gotta check that out.
But watch your blood pressure too.
Okay, I'm good. All right. I can have a little bit. I can't have that much.
Yeah. But speaking of traveling, it's something that I want to get into. I have this interest in so many different cultures. I read about them. I watch a lot of videos about them, but I never find the time to go. But as of recently, I got a Spanish tutor
Okay.
that lives in Honduras,
Okay.
and I've been trying to learn Spanish. I want to be fluent, hopefully by the end of this year. I know a lot, and I understand a lot. I just really want to be confident in speaking. So my goal is to be fluent by like June. And I
Okay.
want to take a trip to Costa Rica.
Okay.
So I'm looking forward to that.
Okay. Cool.
So I'll let you know how it goes.
Yeah, definitely let me know.
And you gotta let me know how Greece goes.
I would definitely remember.
All right.
I definitely call. You be the first person I call when I get back.
I'm gonna hold you to that.
Yeah,
I'm gonna hold you to it.
all right.
We'll talk about it over some jerk chicken.
Okay, no problem.
When was the last time you doubted yourself?
I would say about 2 weeks ago.
What was it about?
I think what I doubted myself is that, I always wanted to tell my story about suicide and depression, but I didn't know how to go about doing it because I'm a very private person, and a lot of people don't know that side of me. So I was like, you know what, this would be a good opportunity to tell my side of the story. Hopefully that this can inspire somebody, to come forward, and stuff like that. So I think that's why I doubted myself. Yeah, I just thought that I couldn't do it, but when I took that first step, I'm like, yo, I finally did it. I finally told my story.
And how did you feel?
I felt good. I felt like a huge burden was lifted off of me.
It's freeing, right?
Yeah, it's a beautiful thing.
Can we talk a little bit more about your story right now?
Yeah.
So you said your brother passed away from a massive heart attack, right?
Yes.
Can you describe like the journey of that, of like you experiencing it, going what when did you know you were deep into depression, and like what kind of how your daily life changed?
Well, when my brother passed away unexpectedly, I had just came back from Miami. Me and my friend, we had just got back from Miami. I spoke to him. He called me that night, and he was telling me everything is okay. I'm gonna be okay. So I'm like, okay. So I was like, yo, I'm gonna come see you tomorrow morning after I get off of work. He said, okay, cool. So after I got off of work, I was running around doing things, and then I just totally forgot about it. But I knew I had to go see him. So before I can even go up there, we got the phone call saying that he passed away, and I was like, "What?" So that just took me to a whole different level. I'm like, "Yo, but I'm glad that I had that conversation with him before he passed away. So that's something I can hold into my heart. But the fact that I didn't see him alive for one last time, that did a lot to me. But at that time, I had to focus on my mom because my mom just lost her son. That was hard for her. Everybody was grieving. He left behind 3 kids. So I had to make sure everybody was good. And I think what it did was I didn't focus on myself. I was focused on everybody else around me. So, I had to make sure everybody was good. I had to plan the service along with my mom. So that right there, that was the toughest moment in my life. And then after everything was over with, I just went into a deep depression. I didn't know I was in the depression. My best friend, Segundo, he told me, he said, yo, you going through depression? I said, no, I'm not going through no depression. So what I was doing, like I'll go to work and I come home and I just want to be in the dark. I just closed all my blinds and I just wanted to be in the dark. I didn't want nobody around me. Even my mother today don't know that I was going through this. The only person I really know was my best friend. So then I just went to a deep depression. And then a couple of days later, I just wrote a note, a suicide note. I went to work. I did my normal routine. I went to work and I said, today's the day. Today I'm in my life. And the way I was going to do it, I was going to write a note to my mom and my sister. And I was going to take some pills just to go to sleep. And I just couldn't do it. I just couldn't do it. I went to the store, got everything. I wrote the note, and I just couldn't do it. I said, no, I'm not doing this. I said, my mother just lost her son. Imagine if I take my life. That's going to really send her over the edge. So I said, no, I can't do this. I can't. So that day, I just ripped it up. I went to sleep. Then something told me to look at my computer. There was this ad for therapy. My job had therapy sessions. So I just signed myself for therapy. And I've been going to therapy ever since.
That's
That's crazy.
crazy.
It wasn't meant for me to go.
Not at all.
And I just feel like that was my brother saying, nah.
You're not finished yet.
Yeah, you're not finished yet.
And look at you. You just got your master's.
Yep.
About to
So,
being head teacher, doing the sped stuff. Like,
mhm.
I appreciate you for sharing that.
Yeah. Yeah.
And shout out to Segundo for trying to help you realize what you were going through.
hmm
And it's very powerful for you to even express yourself the way you are. I appreciate that, honestly.
I appreciate it. Yep.
Especially telling you from the experience I've had. And I really wanted to have this conversation with you in person.
Okay.
And being in a space now, I truly understand we're all here for a reason.
Mhm.
And it's most of the time to be of service for others.
Mhm.
Think about all the lives that you wouldn't have been able to affect.
A fact. Yep.
You know, like all those dinners you would have missed at the boys' house that was your favorite student.
Yep. Yep. So everything happened for a reason. That's why I say everything happened for a reason. Yeah.
So, definitely happy to have you here, George.
I appreciate it, man.
Everything does happen for a reason. And I've come in to believe that really, like, all timing is divine.
Yep. True. Mm-hmm.
So I want to go into the next part of this podcast.
Okay.
It's a section I call Feel This Way.
Okay.
I will say a word, phrase, or statement, and I want you to tell me what emotions, thoughts, or memories it sparks.
Okay.
You ready?
Yep.
First word is loss.
I felt lost when I lost my brother. I felt lost. Yeah.
Do you because working, I've also realized, I realized, I was taught and I've learned that loss can also be a change of lifestyle,
True.
you know?
True.
So it's like you go from one job to the other one and you don't realize you lose friendships, you lose a
Mm-hmm.
certain time of day, a certain schedule.
Mm-hmm.
And understanding it like that has helped me really start acknowledging things and even celebrating small changes in my life. Because loss isn't always a negative
A
thing,
negative. It can be positive too.
right?
Yeah.
Um, the next word is anxiety.
Anxiety. Mm, that's a good one. That's a good one. Anxiety. Um, I think the only time I get anxiety when I want to do something and I'm got a lot of passion for that particular thing I'm trying to do.
Hmm.
You know. Yeah.
That's a good answer. And they say if you don't feel anxious about something, you don't want it bad enough,
Nope.
right?
That's true.
Did you feel anxiety applying to grad school?
I was kind of nervous when I applied for grad school because I didn't. I was looking at so many colleges and I didn't know, okay, what direction I want to go into. I knew I wanted to do anything that working with students.
Hmm.
So I had to pinpoint exactly what direction I want to go into. So when I found my niche, I said, okay, this is what I'm gonna apply for. I'm put all my eggs in this one basket. And that's what I did.
All right, great. I often think about applying to grad school, but I would say my anxiety stops me a couple times.
What you want to major in? Have you decided?
No, I go back and forth about a lot of stuff. Like I
Okay.
think some days I want to go into social work, other days I want to go into administration. I know I want to be in a position to affect people's lives, you know.
Okay.
But like the struggle with that is like I feel like if going into social work, you work directly with the kids, right?
Okay. Yeah.
But like going into administration, I feel like, for lack of a better word, Stanford public school system can be fucked up
Uh,
sometimes. You know what I mean?
Sometimes.
Right? So it's like I want to go into administration to hopefully be put in a position where I can change some things. You know what I mean?
Okay.
But it's like finding that balance because that changing things is it's a very difficult thing to
Mm-hmm.
do.
And a lot
People,
of people not used to change. They
yeah,
used to doing the same thing every day, every day, every day.
they burn you at the cross and you're trying
Yep.
to change the world.
Yep.
Um, but it's something I got to take a serious look at, to be honest, and I'm trying to hold myself accountable about that.
Okay.
After this school year, I think I would take a real look at who I need to be for myself or who I want to be.
All right.
I'll let you know
And
what
I'm gonna
answers I
follow
come
up.
with.
I'm gonna follow up with that too.
After Costa Rica, though. After Costa
All
Rica.
right. Cool. All right.
Yeah, I gotta go away, get my mind right.
I agree with you, man.
The third word is travel.
um, like you asked me.
So, like, what is the word when you hear the word travel? What memories, thoughts, or emotions does that spark?
Travel. Fun. Getting away. Um, seeing the other side of the world. Seeing how other people live. Um, yeah, and just having a good time.
Okay.
Definitely. Yeah.
The next word is, or next phrase, or words are Segundo Ruiz.
My best friend.
How long have you known Segundo?
54 years.
54 years?
Yeah,
That's
54
a
years.
long time.
Yeah.
Well,
50.
how do you maintain a friendship for that long?
Well, we try to get together as much as possible, but he know my lifestyle. I know his lifestyle. We work and stuff like that. So we do try to spend quality time. If we not, we definitely talk on the phone, text, like, yo, what's up? How you doing? Yada yada yada. Stuff like that. Yeah, definitely.
Okay. How often would you say you see him?
I just saw him over the summer because he had a cookout at his house.
Okay.
So I saw him over the summer.
Would you guys still stay in contact, phone
Oh
messages
yeah,
and stuff
definitely.
like that?
We definitely gonna stay in contact.
Okay.
Yeah, cool people, cool
That's what's
guy.
up. I hope to have a friendship that long.
Okay.
Being in iStudios right now, this is my
This your best friend right here, huh?
yeah. This is that's my brother. My blood couldn't make us closer.
Okay.
The last word I have is spirituality.
Spirituality. That's something I believe in. That's something I grew up believing in spirituality. I was taught spirituality. I was taught that God is everything. Put God first and everything else will fall into place.
Have you ever questioned it?
When things don't happen on my time frame, but I have to realize that everything works in its order. I'm and I'm a type of person, like, if I want something, I expect to have it right now. But I have to learn that t- time I just have to wait. Everything takes time.
Yeah, it's not that it's not for you. It's just not for you right now.
Not right now. Yeah, and that's something I'm working on, because I'm a type of person, I like, if I say I want it right now, and I have to realize, just chill, man, just chill.
It's gonna come.
Yeah,
Just like the Mercedes.
yeah,
It's gonna come.
and it came too.
Shout out to you, man.
Thank you, man. I appreciate it.
But nonetheless, I really appreciate you coming and have this conversation with me. I've honestly been looking forward to it ever since I messaged you. Like I said, I heard nothing but great things about you. I really appreciate the story that you shared,
Hmm.
because I see so much of myself right now in that story,
Okay.
and for it to have been so many years passing since you overcome it, and you telling me how you still think about not so much of the suicidal thoughts, but the sadness and tears and stuff like that can
Hmm.
happen sometimes.
Hmm.
And personally, being so fresh from it, some days I do get nervous that what if I'm always not gonna be this happy?
Okay.
And I just have to understand that's okay. It's a process.
So, how are you overcoming that? Like, do you go to therapy, or do you just like?
No, I mean I go to therapy now. I
Okay.
also take medication, if I'm being
Okay.
honest.
Okay.
But I've been working on myself in just in a much better way. Like, I'm trying to be as open as I can be, so I don't let the stigmas and the perception that the what I think the how I think the world sees me affect me. I just need to see myself for what I am and accept that. And I think doing that as of recently has put me in a space to be very honest with myself, and that's the only thing that really matters to me right now. Like,
Okay.
even being in this space now where I didn't feel confident enough to have a podcast or hear my voice on a podcast, and
Mm.
just only started this after I came out the hospital. And my friend Jakai motivated me to do this,
Okay.
and like, similar to your friend Segundo, like, you having people like that in your community that are gonna be honest, real, and supportive of you is very important.
Hmm.
And I'm just taking more and more steps to just figure out who I want to be for myself,
Okay.
and just focusing on that, and that keeps me in a good headspace.
Good. Proud of you, man.
Thank you,
Proud of you.
thank you. It means a lot, and I hope that we can stay in contact
Oh,
with each other.
definitely. We're gonna definitely stay in contact, man. Definitely.
How I usually end this podcast is with a poem,
Okay.
and the poem I have for today, I don't really do titles. I'm not really good with the titles, but let's just call it therapy.
Okay.
Say, it goes, who's to say we have to leave? Why does growth live outside these streets, where blood waters the leaves? We then gather rambunctiously, in harmony, to dap up and express an affinity for the memories. We smile, but the tears fall like the vigil's wax, as we attempt to suppress the feeling of villainy. When did retaliation become our only form of therapy? This is something to hold us.